Fellow shareholders, directors, ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to please rise for the national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Fellow shareholders, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the 57th annual general meeting of our company, duly convened and properly constituted. I sincerely hope that you and all your respective families are staying safe and healthy after the difficult couple of years we've had, and I look forward to us having a very pleasant meeting. With your kind permission, may I sit for the duration of the meeting? Oh, you're objecting? Okay, I'll stand. Thank you. The meeting will be very brisk because, as I'm told, quite a number of people are here that have other engagements, so we will be as efficient as we possibly can for the conduct of the meeting. This AGM is being held by proxy in accordance with the Corporate Affairs Commission's guidelines on holding of annual general meetings, AGMs of public companies using proxies, herein referred to as CAC guidelines. I've received confirmation from the company secretary and the registrars that a quorum for the meeting has been formed. This AGM is being streamed live to shareholders and other relevant stakeholders, including a couple of our directors who are unable to be physically part of the proceedings. I would like to thank our shareholders in attendance physically and all those who have joined this meeting virtually for their continued commitment to the growth of our company. May I use this opportunity to appreciate our regulators for taking proactive measures in ensuring that public companies can convene and conduct their AGMs in these difficult times. Please be informed that the microphones and amplifying equipment are being used for a clear recording and broadcast of the proceeding. I will therefore request members to speak clearly into the microphone whenever you make a point or second a motion. We have a full agenda, and it might be helpful to explain that you will have the opportunity to second each motion put to the meeting. There will be an opportunity for questions to be taken on the particular motion only before the vote on it is taken. Please be informed also that the register of directors' shareholdings is available for inspection during the meeting in accordance with Section 301, subsection 8 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020, herein referred to as CAMA. Information in that regard is further contained on page 21 of the annual report and accounts. Also, in accordance with Section 318, subsection 5 of CAMA, the record of directors' attendance at board meetings is available for inspection at this meeting. I will now introduce the directors physically present at this meeting. On my immediate left is Mr. Ferdinand Muko, our Managing Director, CEO, and one of the proxies for this meeting. I, of course, am Mr. Olayinka Akinkugbe, currently Chairman of the Board and an independent non-executive Chairman. To my right is Mr. Olakunle Olusanya, our Company Secretary. And to my extreme right, Dr. Babatunde, extreme left, Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, an independent non-executive director. The non-executive directors who are Joining us virtually are Mr. Oyo Ibadan and Mr. Oliver Klein, and I have confirmed that both of them are online during this meeting. The Audit Committee Chairman, the Chairman of the Audit Committee and a shareholder representative on the Audit Committee, Chief Adekunle Odesanya, is here representing other members of the committee. He's also one of the proxies for the meeting. The other two members of the Audit Committee are there with him. The independent auditor, the firm of Mazars, acted as our independent auditor. The firm is represented here by Ms. Elizabeth Oriluke, a partner in the firm. Is that correct? Is she here? Oh yes, of course, thank you. I was looking to. We also have in our midst the representative of the Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, Hajia Amina Tanko, who is here to observe the proceedings. You're most welcome. We also have present Ms. Anne Mutua of Greenwich Registrars and Data Solutions. She's also to my left. Be kindly informed that the chairman's address is on page 12 to 18 of the annual report and accounts. With your very kind permission, I will deem it as read to save some time. And I know you all have copies of the annual report, both with us here in the room and soft copies for those who are attending virtually. I will now call on the Company Secretary, Mr. Olakunle Lusanya, to read the notice of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Notice of Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 57th Annual General Meeting of the members of Milk Plc will be held at the Executive Lounge, Radisson Hotel, Ikeja, 42/44 Isaac John Street, Ikeja, Jerry, Lagos, on Monday, 27 June 2022 at 12 noon or so soon thereafter, to conduct the following businesses. A, ordinary businesses. To lay before the members the report of the directors, the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2021, together with the reports of the Audit Committee and the independent auditors thereon. 2, to elect and re-elect directors. 3, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. 4, to disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company. 5, to elect members of the Audit Committee. B, special business, to fix the remuneration of the directors by order of the board. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lusanya. Item 1 on the agenda, therefore, is to lay before the meeting the report of the directors and the statement of financial position as at 31st of December 2021, together with the income statement for the year ended on that date and the reports of the independent auditor and the audit committee thereon. I hereby lay before you the director's report and statement of financial position as at 31st of December 2021, together with the income statement for the year ended on that date and the report of the independent auditor and the audit committee thereon. Before we take questions or comments on the report and accounts, I will call on the independent auditor and the audit committee to present their respective reports, starting with Mazars. Ms. Elizabeth Oriluke, a partner in the firm, could now please present the independent auditor's report. Thank you. Would you wait and let them hand you the microphone? So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Is it afternoon already? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Oriluke. I'm a partner in Mazar. I'm here with Sunday Anuku. He's the engagement manager. The report of the independent auditors can be seen on pages 24 to 26 of the report with you. With your permission, I would like to read the opinion, the basis for our opinion, as well as the legal requirements as auditors. The reports on the audits of the financial statement to the members of the Milk Plc or Milk Plc. Our opinion. In our opinion, Milk Plc, the company's financial statements, give a thorough and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st December 2021 and of its financial performance and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with international financial reporting standards the IFRSs, and in the manner required by the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria's Act No. 6, 2011. What we have audited. The financial statement comprises the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2021, the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income for the year then ended, the statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statements, which include a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. The basis for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, the ISAs. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audits of the financial statement section of our reports. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. We are independent of the company in accordance with International Ethics Standard Boards for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, that's the IESBA code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with this code. Moving on to the report on other legal and regulatory requirements, that's on page 26. The Companies and Allied Matters Act requires that in carrying out our audits, we consider and report to you on the following matters. We confirm that we have obtained all the information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of the audits, that the company has kept proper books of accounts so far as appeared from my examination of those books and returns, adequate for our audits, have also been received from branches not visited by us, and that the company's statement of financial position and the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of accounts and returns. This report has been signed on 24th May 2022 by Eleyele Ibadan, my name. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elizabeth Oluke of Mazars. In accordance with the provisions of CAMA, members of the Audit Committee met in the course of the year to, amongst others, examine the report of the independent auditor. The chairman of the committee is here today to present their reports. I might also take this opportunity to introduce other members of the Audit Committee. From the shareholders, Alhaji Mustafa Jinodu and Mr. Peter Yanaku. On the board side, there was Dr. Tunde Ajibade, SAN, and Mr. Oliver Klein, who is, of course, with us online. Thank you very much. I now call on Chief Adekunle Odesanya to present the committee's report.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. May I refer us to page 23, report of Audit Committee. The annual report of financial statement for the ended 31st December 2021, report of the Audit Committee to the shareholders of Milk Plc. In accordance with the provisions of Section 404, Cap 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we have reviewed the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended 31st December 2021 and report as follows. A, the accounting and reporting policies of the company are consistent with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. B, the scope and planning of the external audit was adequate. C, the company maintained effective systems of accounting and internal controls during the year. D, having reviewed the external auditor's findings and recommendations on management matters, we are satisfied with the management responses thereon. Dated this 18th day of May 2022. Signed, Odesanya Adekunle, Chairman of the committee. May I please request permission to read the names of other members of the audit committee? Myself, Odesanya Adekunle. Number 2, Mr. Peter Yanaku. Please take a bow. 3, Mr. Oliver Klein, who I think must be online. Number 4, Dr. Babatunde A.M. Ajibade San. Thank you. And Alaji Jenadio Mustafa I. Flood. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Adekunle Odesan, and also members of the Audit Committee. My colleagues and I will be pleased to answer any questions which you may have on the report and accounts before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. Follow-up questions and comments could also be sent to the email address, which is info@gtlregistrars.com. Are there any questions on the reports and accounts? When I hand the microphone to you, could you please start off with your name before your question? Thank you. Call on Chief Mazi Banugo.
Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, fellow shareholders, my name is Mazi Samuel Mpamugo, a shareholder. It's always gladden my heart to be in a meeting of FAMIC. And the reason is because for some time now, I have noticed good performance of this company. Especially to say, since the company co-opted our able managing director, Mr. Ferdinand Muko, to this board to manage it, as well as our chairman, who of course is doing very well, and other members of the board. Though I will not mention that you people are erudite board now until dividend is paid. But we are in the threshold of realizing a bumper harvest, which we, of course, translated to a good dividend. There's no doubt about it. Going through the annual reports, I've been able to observe major initiatives which have been put in place, and these have resulted to a good result, thereby giving hope that the future is brighter for this company. Now, let me just take, because you say we have this meeting briefed, but that will not be that I will not mention some of the areas of interest. For instance, I noticed on page, result in the glass shows that everything, the indices, is in upward movement. Now, for instance, profit before tax have moved to, profit before tax, we have clocked the billionaire club. Because this company has been trailing behind. When we go to the page, that's 5 years summary, which is found in page 97. But for the past 2 years, it has been very good for the company. We have left red to blue. You understand what I mean? Okay? Now, the profit before tax, we have been able to clock to over 1 billion naira. Now, profit after tax, we are just at the threshold of 1 billion naira, in that it is above 800 million. Our EPS, earning per share, have improved from 45 kobo to 102 kobo. In fact, one can see that the management have been very wonderful. There's a prudent way of managing a company, showing interest for the company, for the benefit of the shareholders. But one may wonder, why is it in line with these wonderful performances, you are not declaring a dividend? Of course, I think you are waiting the appetite of the shareholders that your dividends may be in 3-digit line, if possible. Now, we also look at the way the management was able to introduce some products, very attractive products that have made ourselves wonderful. Some of these products are found in page, is it not 19? Okay. And when we look at the investment area in Oyo State, in Ibadan, we can see that you have put up some lines of production which have been wonderfully giving hope for all of us, the shareholders. Now, my question is it not time for you to either give bonus, I won't say bonus as such, but maybe public offer, not really for outside, but to generate more fund for the business. If we look at the situation where how in this country now, energy, you think of diesel, the extent the thing is going on the high side. Sometimes I pity the manufacturing companies. How can they run diesel at this cost? But I know that with the prudent way you are managing, and with our able financial controller or financial director, things are going fine. I will encourage that in our local palace, it is say when you tell somebody, keep on, that means that person is doing what? Well. When you start frowning your face, a wise person will know that, look, you are not needed. I applaud all of you, the management, the directors, and even the audit committee, which have contributed immensely towards this achievement. And we hope that in no distant time, you will give us a good bonus. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mazi Sam Panugo. And thank you very much for always showing a great interest in the performance of the company year after year. And once again, it's a great pleasure to have you here with us, always with pertinent questions. Well, I might make a general answer to your question before I ask the MD to say anything that he might want to add specifically. You are right that the company is doing very well. And my rationale is that we're building a very strong foundation for the future. Those familiar with the company in the past would know that the challenges that have come in recent times, either with COVID or with us having to do some backward integration that was not planned, or indeed to have the price of diesel to increase to 3 times what it is currently. The company we had before we had such a strong partner in Danone would have struggled. We are lucky to have Danone because they have continued to show great faith in the prospects for the future of the company and have continued to invest and convert some of their investment into equity. So we're laying a foundation for the future, as you have said, where every shareholder will be a beneficiary. And you know very well that I, of course, I'm here representing even more the minority shareholders as well as the majority shareholder. We have Mr. Ferdinand Muko, who you've praised for his diligence in managing the company. Maybe he'd like to add a word or two.
Yes, thank you, Chairman, and thank you for your question. I will not add enough, to what the Chairman has just shared with us. We all know the context of our country. We all know that we are under pressure. We are definitely building strong and solid foundation for the future. You mentioned the huge investment that we are currently doing. Last week, we were just commissioning the dairy training farm in Oyo State. A couple of months from now, we were commissioning also the extension of our facilities in terms of line of production in Oyo State. So definitely, yes, we are building solid foundation for us to be able to, in the coming years, to be able to pay sufficient dividend, to the shareholder. Your point is well taken, and I'll also allow the finance director that you also mentioned if you need to share anything on top of what Chairman and myself we have just shared.
Mr. Titus Owe is the finance director of the company, and perhaps he can add a couple of words.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ferdinand. I think I would not add so much to the context of dividend declaration. And if you look through our financials sufficiently, Mazi, with the performance of 2021, we just came out of our retained earning being in red. So we are just at, I'll call it that, even a break even, because it's at about 200 million. So like the chairman mentioned and Ferdinand, we are building the foundation to be able to recognize your investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oye. Can I ask if there are any other questions, specifically on the accounts from anyone else in our audience? Thank you. With no further questions, once again, thank you to Mazi Samuel-Panugo for your questions. And of course, any other questions can be taken online, info@gtlregistrars.com, and we'd be happy to receive them and make as comprehensive a reply as we can. Once again, thank you, our ever-supportive shareholders, for your comments. Having fully dealt with the first item, we now move to other items of the agenda. In view of the nature of this meeting and to ensure that the voting wishes of shareholders as contained in the proxy forms are captured, I, under Section 248, subsection 1A of Comma and Article 71 of the Articles of Association, hereby declare that voting at this meeting shall be by poll, except for the item on the agenda relating to election of members of the Audit Committee. Please note that only ordinary resolutions are required for all the items. That is, a simple majority of the votes would suffice for each resolution. The next item on the agenda is to re-elect directors. You would have seen from the report of the directors that 2 directors are due for re-election in line with Section 273 of the Company and Allied Matters Act 2020 and Article 97 of the Articles of Association. They are myself, Mr. Olayinka Akenkugbe, and Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. Of course, as this item concerns me and Dr. Ajibade, it is my pleasure to call on the Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Ferdinand Muko, to co-chair this part of the proceedings. And of course, since I'm retiring from the board and Maybe I will be re-elected, maybe not. I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to serve, and it's been a wonderful experience to chairing a company that's working so hard and so well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. So the first director seeking re-election is Mr. Olayinka Kinkube. I hereby move that Mr. Olayinka Kinkube be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Will someone please rise and second this motion?
The interim chairman, I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much, Chief. Is there any question before the motion is put to the meeting? If no, then I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the votes be taken forthwith by the use of the voting given to you on arrival. I hope you all have it. Just checking. Okay. The independent auditor will act as the scrutiner. I now call on the registrar to conduct the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll take a quick run through on the instructions on how to use the device before we commence the voting. So an electronic device or electronic devices have been issued to shareholders who are eligible to vote and selected proxies. Each device has been activated and is ready for use. So when we're ready, we'll tell you. A resolution will be announced and voting for each resolution will commence after the announcement. So we're about to take this one now. We'll do that after this. On the voting pad, 1 represents yes, 2 represents no, and 3 if you're abstaining. So if you're voting for a resolution 1, you press 1. If you're voting against, you press 2. And if you're abstaining, you press 3. Voting for a resolution commences and ends in 30 seconds. Would have a timer displayed and it will run the course of 30 seconds for your view. Voting results will be displayed immediately each voting session ends. We'll display the results in shareholding percentage and unit holding. So we'll take I'll tell you when to vote. Just hold on for my instruction. You'll do that once the timer starts counting down, 30 seconds down. Can we have, good job, okay. Can we have the timer up, please? Okay, you may vote now. Just press the light, press the green indicator would come up. And that indicates. Do we have all now? Okay, the session has ended, and we have 100% in favor of the resolution. That's in percentage. In shareholding, unit shareholding, we have 1,156,426,000 units of shares represented in this voting session. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, based on the result as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. I will now hand over to the chairman
That's the right thing.
to continue the proceedings.
No,
Thank you, Mr. Moko. Actually, you're handing over to a director. I suppose the chairman will be appointed at the next meeting. Since I retired as chairman and director, I can't be reappointed as chairman immediately, I assume. So, ladies and gentlemen, the second director seeking re-election is Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. I hereby move that Dr. Babatunde Ajibade be, no, that's not the, sorry, I just want to make sure that we have the right text. Which is simply that I would like to put a motion that Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, having presented himself, would someone please rise? I'd like to make a motion to reappoint him as a director of the company. Would someone please rise to second that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mazi Sam Kwanugo. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call on the registrars to once again conduct the voting for Dr. Babatunde Ajibade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once the timer comes up, we'll be ready to vote. Okay, you may now vote, please. The session has ended and the results are up. On the resolution to re-elect Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN, as a director retiring by rotation, we have 100% of the votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,156,427,000 units of shares. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried to re-elect Dr. Babatunde Ajibade SAN as a director of the company, and a very worthy one. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor. Section 408, subsection 1B of CAMA requires that the remuneration be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I accordingly hereby move that the directors be and they are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor for the year ending 31st of December 2021. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
Mr. Chairman, once again, I rise to second that motion.
Once again, Mazi Sam Banuga, I thank you. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting? I now put the motion to the meeting, and I would ask our independent scrutineer to please carry out the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may now vote, please. The voting session has ended. On the resolution to authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors, we have 100% of the votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,156,427,000 units of shares. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anne Mutua of GTL Registrars. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results presented by the registrar, I hereby declare that the motion has been duly carried. The motion being that the directors be and hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the independent auditor for the year ending 31st December 2021. The next item on the agenda is to disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company. In accordance with sections 238 and 257 of CAMA 2020, the compensation of the managers of the company is expected to be disclosed to the members at the annual general meeting. The remuneration of the managers of the company is as disclosed in the 2021 annual report on page 94 of the report in your hands. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Audit Committee in accordance with Section 404, subsection 3 of CAMA. Members of the Audit Committee are subject to election annually. Section 404, subsection 6 requires that they be formally nominated. Accordingly, 3 valid nominations were received from shareholders of the members to represent them in the Audit Committee. The Company Secretary will please read out the nominations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first nomination we received was for Mr. Peter Enenoku, nominated by Mr. Oefun Atemitokwe. Please stand up for recognition. Second person is Alhaji Mustafa Jinodu, nominated by Mr. Peter Enenoku. And the third nomination is Chief Adekunle Odesoya, nominated by Mr. Alaka.
Once again, I'd like to thank the members of the Audit Committee for their performance and their interest in the company over the years. They are very familiar faces indeed. For the avoidance of doubt, since we have the exact number of nominated shareholders, we have no need to take a vote, and they are therefore returned as members of the Audit Committee for the next year. It is my pleasure to inform you that the Board of Directors has also nominated 2 of its members to represent the board in the Audit Committee. They are Dr. Babatunde Ajibade SAN, recently appointed as a director of the company, and Mr. Olivier Klein, who is online and following the proceedings. I hereby move that the following shareholders' representatives, Chief Adekunle Odesoya, Mr. Peter Enenoku, Alhaji Mustafa Jinodu, as well as the following directors' representatives, Dr. Babatunde Ajibade SAN and Mr. Olivier Klein B, and hereby nominated as members of the Audit Committee. As I indicated earlier, there isn't the requirement for a vote. The next item on the agenda is to fix the remuneration of the directors. Please be informed that as required by the CAC guidelines, the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission was obtained for this item, being special business, to be included as part of the agenda for this AGM. In accordance with Article 84 of the Articles of Association of the company, I hereby move that the remuneration of the directors in respect of the year ended 31st December 2021 shall remain as is with no increase. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much, Mazi Sam Kwanugo. Working you very hard this afternoon, and I apologize for making you rise so often. Thank you. I now put the motion to the meeting. I hereby direct that the vote be taken forthwith by the use of the voting device given to you on arrival. The independent auditor will ask as the scrutineer, despite the fact that there is no change.
You may now vote. The session has ended. A special resolution to fix the remuneration of the directors. We have 100% of the votes in favor of the resolution, represented in shareholding by 1,156,427,000 units of shares. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anne Mutua. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the results as verified by the independent auditor, I hereby declare that that final motion has been carried. Distinguished fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, we have dealt with the formal business, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the board for your continued interest in the company's affairs. Of course, there will be time after this meeting for us to talk for a few more minutes. I'd like to especially thank you all. The company has had challenging times, but is doing very well, and we're hopeful that the future will bring even better things. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank you.